Pull up a chair and let me tell you why recipes sometimes don't work, even when you follow the directions perfectly. And first, let me introduce myself. I'm a chef, culinary producer, and food stylist, and I've spent years developing recipes, preparing food for television and camera, and working behind the scenes with the food that you see in advertising. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone thinks they're a bad cook because the recipe failed. And sometimes it's not the recipe. There are more recipes available to us now than ever before, but that doesn't mean that they've all actually been tested. Anyone can write a recipe with blogs, social media, AI, and content being produced so quickly. Sometimes a recipe gets published without anyone ever actually making it from start to finish and making sure that it works. That's why your source actually matters a lot. A properly tested recipe should tell you more than just bake for 30 minutes. It should give you clues about what you're looking for. Is it golden brown? Should the center still jiggle? What texture should your dough be? What size pan are we using? Is the recipe scaled for the size pan you're using? What temperature should the ingredient actually reach? Those details really matter because every oven, every stove is different. And every kitchen is a little bit different. So here's another thing people don't realize. The picture in the cookbook or attached to the recipe isn't always proof that somebody made the recipe. Even professionally published content can sometimes use stock photos or really heavily styled photography or even now AI imagery. So as a food stylist, I can tell you that food prepared specifically for a photograph may be handled much differently than food you've prepared for dinner to eat. So if your finished chicken casserole doesn't look exactly that perfectly lit photo, doesn't automatically mean that you did anything wrong. And I think oftentimes we get frustrated when the end result doesn't look exactly like the book. And I don't want people to think that they failed and then give up. I don't want you to get frustrated and lose your desire to cook and learn how to cook. Cooking should really build your confidence, not destroy it. And cooking is supposed to be fun. So if you follow recipe after recipe and eventually everything keeps failing, you're going to decide you're just not a good cook. And I don't want you to do that. Choose trustworthy sources. Learn what your food should look like, smell like, feel like, taste like. And instead of relying on a timer, you'll just know intuitively. Little by little, you'll rely less on the recipe and more on your own instincts. Because that's when you really start learning to cook. So pull up a chair. I think we're going to talk a lot more about this. And if you're looking for some really easy, approachable recipe content, follow my page.